A decision tree is a supervised machine learning algorithm that makes predictions by repeatedly asking questions about the input data. Each question divides the data into smaller groups. Eventually, we reach a final answer. Think of it like a flowchart. You start at the top. Ask a question. Follow the appropriate branch. Ask another question. Continue until you reach an answer. That final answer is the prediction. A decision tree has several important parts. The root node is the first question. The internal nodes are the questions asked later. The branches represent possible answers. And the leaf nodes contain the final prediction. So visually, the tree starts at the root and moves toward a leaf. Let's build a decision tree for a wildlife dataset. Suppose our dataset contains observations of 3 bird species: sparrow, penguin, and eagle. Our features are wingspan, body weight, beak length, can fly, and our target is species. For example, the machine sees the features. We provide the species as the answer during training. The tree's job is to discover the questions that separate these species. During training, the algorithm receives examples where the correct answer is already known. It examines the data and searches for useful questions. For example, can fly equals no? That immediately separates the penguins from the other birds. Then perhaps wingspan under 50 centimeters? That separates smaller birds from larger birds. The tree keeps splitting the data until the groups become sufficiently pure. But now we have an important problem. Suppose our dataset has 10 features. We could ask, is wingspan greater than 40? Is weight greater than 2? Is beak length greater than 5? Can it fly? Does it live near water? There are many possible questions. So how does the algorithm decide which question is the best first question? This is where the mathematics of decision trees begins. Imagine one box contains 10 sparrows. That's a very clean group. But imagine another box contains 4 sparrows, 3 penguins, and 3 eagles. That's a mixed group. A decision tree wants to create groups that are as pure as possible. So we need a way to measure how mixed a group is. This measurement is called impurity. One of the most commonly used measures is called Gini impurity. The idea is simple. If every example belongs to the same class, impurity is 0. If multiple classes are heavily mixed together, impurity becomes larger. The formula is Gini is equal to 1/sum I is equal to 1 k pi 2. Here, pi is the proportion of samples belonging to class I. For example, suppose a node contains 6 sparrows, 4 penguins. Then, p sparrow equals 0.6 and p penguin equals 0.4. So, Gini is equal to 1, 0.62 plus 0.42. The result is 0.48. A perfectly pure node has Gini impurity of 0. Gini isn't the only measure. Another popular measure is entropy. Entropy measures uncertainty in a group. The formula is H is equal to --sum I is equal to 1 k pi /log 2 pi. If the node contains only one class, entropy is 0. If the classes are mixed, entropy increases. So both Gini and entropy are trying to answer the same fundamental question. How mixed is this group? Now we can evaluate possible questions. Suppose before splitting, our data is highly mixed. After asking, can fly? We get two groups. One group contains mostly penguins. The other contains mostly sparrows and eagles. The uncertainty decreased. That reduction in uncertainty is called information gain. Conceptually, the tree chooses the split that gives the greatest improvement. Both can be used to choose splits. Guinea is commonly used because it is computationally efficient and usually produces very similar trees. Entropy comes from information theory and measures uncertainty using logarithms. In scikit-learn, you can explicitly choose the criterion. For example, OR. Our features aren't always yes or no. Suppose wingspan contains 22, 25, 35, 38, 70, 75. The tree can test thresholds such as it evaluates these possible splits. Then it chooses the threshold that produces the best separation. Decision trees can also work with categorical information. For example, habitat, forest, ocean, mountain. But machine learning libraries often require categorical values to be encoded numerically. For example, depending on the modeling approach, we might use one-hot encoding or another suitable encoding strategy. The important idea is that the tree needs a representation it can split on. Let's put everything together. First, the algorithm receives the training data. Then it searches for possible splits. For each split, it calculates how much impurity is reduced. It chooses the best split. Then it repeats the same process on the resulting groups. This continues recursively until one of the stopping conditions is reached. So, we don't want a tree to grow forever. There are several controls. Max depth limits the maximum depth of the tree. Min sample split defines the minimum number of samples required to split a node. Min sample sleeve defines the minimum number of samples allowed in a leaf. And max leaf nodes can limit the total number of leaves. These parameters are extremely important because they help control overfitting. Imagine a student memorize every question from a practice exam. They score perfectly on those exact questions. But when the real exam contains new questions, they perform badly. That's similar to overfitting. A decision tree can become extremely deep and memorize the training data. Training accuracy 100%. But test accuracy much lower. The tree learned the training examples instead of learning general patterns. Now imagine we restrict the tree so much that it can ask only one question. It may be too simple to understand the real patterns. That's underfitting. So we want a balance. One important technique is pruning. Instead of allowing the tree to keep unnecessary branches, we remove branches that don't provide enough useful information. There are different pruning strategies. In scikit-learn, one important parameter is which controls cost complexity pruning. A larger value generally produces a simpler tree. We shouldn't evaluate the model only on the data it already saw. We divide a dataset. For example, 80% for training, 20% for testing. The tree learns from the training set. Then we evaluate it on unseen test data. This tells us whether the model can generalize. Now let's implement our bird classification model in Python. We'll use pandas for data handling, NumPy when numerical operations are required, scikit-learn for machine learning, and matplotlib for visualization. Now, let's explore our dataset and explain every column. X contains the information used to make the decision. Y contains the correct answer. Test underscore size is equal to 0.2 means 20% testing. Random underscore state is equal to 42 makes the split reproducible. Criterion controls how the tree evaluates splits. Max underscore depth controls tree complexity. This is where the learning happens. The algorithm searches for useful feature thresholds. It evaluates possible splits. It chooses the best ones. And recursively builds the tree. How the new observation travels through the learned tree until it reaches the eagle leaf. Decision trees can provide class probabilities based on the class distribution of training samples in the reached leaf. Now we can literally see the decision-making process. At the top is the root. Then the questions. Then the branches. And finally the predictions. This is one reason decision trees are so popular for teaching and interpretation. A tree can also provide feature importance scores. These values represent the feature's contribution to impurity reduction across the tree. A higher value means the feature contributed more to the learned splits. To evaluate our model, we look at accuracy, precision, recall, F1 score, and a confusion matrix. This is why evaluating on unseen data matters. Yes, decision trees aren't limited to classification. There is also decision tree regression. Instead of predicting a class such as eagle or penguin, it predicts a numerical value. The tree still asks questions and splits the data. But instead of putting a class label in the leaf produces a numerical prediction based on the training values that reach it. So we have decision tree classifier for classification and decision tree regressor for regression. Decision trees have several advantages. They're easy to understand. They're easy to visualize. They can capture nonlinear relationships. They can work with different feature scales without requiring standardization in the same way distance-based algorithms do. They can handle both classification and regression. And they provide useful feature importance measures. Decision trees also have weaknesses. They can easily overfit. Small changes in training data can sometimes produce a very different tree. Very deep trees can become difficult to interpret. And a single tree may not generalize as well as ensemble methods. That's why algorithms such as random forest and gradient boosting are often used in production. Let's compare the two algorithms. Decision trees use rule-based splits, while logistic regression uses a mathematical probability model. Decision trees have nonlinear boundaries, whereas logistic regression usually has a linear decision boundary. Trees can naturally model feature interactions, but they can easily overfit if too deep. The key difference is how they learn. Logistic regression learns a mathematical relationship, while decision trees learn a sequence of if-then questions. Let's follow our new bird one final time. The bird enters the root. The first question is asked. Its answer determines the branch. The second question appears. Another branch is selected. Eventually, the bird reaches a leaf. And the leaf gives us the prediction. That's the entire idea. A complicated prediction can be represented as a sequence of simple decisions. Before we finish, let's test your understanding. Question 1. What is a decision tree? A supervised learning algorithm that makes predictions through recursive feature-based splits. Question 2. What is Gini impurity? A measure of how mixed the classes are within a node. Question 3. What is entropy? A measure of uncertainty or impurity in a node. Question 4. What is information gain? the reduction in impurity or uncertainty produced by a split. Question 5. What causes overfitting? An overly complex tree that learns training-specific patterns. Question 6. How can we control it? Use parameters such as max depth, minimum samples per split or leaf, maximum leaf nodes, and pruning. Question 7. Can decision trees perform regression? Yes. Use decision tree regressor. Let's return to our opening question. How can a machine identify an unfamiliar bird? It doesn't need someone to manually write every rule. Instead, we give it examples. The algorithm searches for useful questions. It measures how well those questions separate the data. It chooses the best split. Then repeats the process. Eventually, it creates a tree of decisions. And when a new observation arrives, it simply follows the learned path until it reaches a prediction. That's the power of a decision tree. Complex decisions built from simple questions. And once you understand a single decision tree, you're ready for something even more powerful, random forest, where many decision trees work together instead of relying on just one. Thank you for watching this complete guide on decision trees. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. See you in the next one.